Welcome to Snooze with Sam. Ambient sleep stories, meditations, and ASMR from Scotland. If these stories help you, I'd love if you considered becoming a patron. You will be credited in every story and could access member-only benefits such as early access and patron-only stories. You can find the link in the description. My name is Sam, and I'm from a wee northwestern island called Skye. Like so many of you, I can find sleep difficult due to a number of reasons. So throughout my lifetime, I've developed a passion for helping people connect with and improve their well-being in every sense. The subconscious mind is a complex place. I understand the detrimental states we can arrive at, and how precious sleep can become as a result. These stories have been created with this at their heart. So as always, lie back, take a deep breath, and enjoy this story. This story is called A Giant's Prophecy. Keeping pace was proving as difficult as you initially supposed. You were tiny in comparison, legs barely a tenth the size of the giant's. Whirring away across the uneven terrain in a feeble attempt to keep the giant in your sight. How was it possible for such an enormous being to disappear from view? A good question. One which you'd asked yourself initially, yet soon discovered the answer as you entered a place known as the Kerrang. A sea of tall rock towers, pushed from the earth through tectonic plates colliding and volcanic activity. or so science had told you. Until you witnessed two enormous giants, built from the earth's elements, collide in ferocious battle right before your very eyes. Before then, everyone had heard tales of these granite turrets having formed from giants being frozen in time, turned to stone by their enemies. But most people believed these to be the work of fiction and folklore, as had been traditionally told for centuries. Myth, legend, and stories passed down from ancestors told of these creatures. And a few folk in recent years had claimed to see these pillars of rock move before them. But no one would believe these stories. Civilization was caught between interesting times. The past, a place where ancient stories, tales of powerful gods, and mythical creatures were at the very foundations of everything you knew. Colliding with the dawn of a scientific age, full of discoveries and new findings. But this was the thing. Now, no one really knew. The people were divided. Torn between what they were being taught and schooled in as scientific fact, and what had been passed down, and what they were now hearing, and in some cases, seeing. And where is it you place yourself in all this? It felt strange to maintain that your footing was firmly in the middle ground. Despite your present circumstances, but you felt a broad mind was a wise one, and to sway too far either side often instills ill-sourced beliefs, principles, and emotions. Until you fully understood, if that was even a possibility, you wanted to keep your mind as open as could be. Does anyone ever truly understand something though? Or do they just get impatient and pick a principle out of ease, desperate to feel a sense of belonging, to justify their fickle emotions through one choice or another? You could sense dark times ahead. What was just fiction was now becoming a reality. These giants, among other creatures, may be otherworldly, but human beings could be volatile, angry, and irrational. It wouldn't take much persuasion to fuel a fire of misunderstanding and revolt. They would crush anything which threatened their worlds as they knew it. Yes, there were definitely dark times ahead. You could feel it. There was something about the way the giant moved after it defeated its counterpart that was stirring. Like there was a story to be told. As if it was protecting something more than itself. like it was human. You desired to find out for your own. The rain fell heavily still, thrashing against your pelt clothing with a sound more akin to hail. Wind still stirred the heathers, but in the sporadic shelter of the Kerrang, it was less intense. Beyond these pillars of stone, great tall cliffs loomed even higher, as imposing as a castle wall secondary to a moat. If venturing through these parts wasn't unfamiliar enough, so did a low cloud close in, brushing the cliff tops and pouring over their sheer edges, stirring at your level. Eyes straining against all the elements, you hunted for the giant in the distance, desperate to see something, anything. And then, over to the east, a small gap in the fog gave way. And in the bow of a scree slope, you saw the giant scrambling up the near side face, creating a vast, bulbous silhouette once it reached the top. And then it disappeared again, over the far side. Without hesitation, you hurried in its direction, skipping over boulders, trying to keep your grip as best you could. So difficult with sodden boots. Your path narrowed to scarcely more than a foot. Clearly carved by the hooves of sheep. puddles splashing, mud slipping. You tore along the steep contours of the mountainside as quickly as you dared. Negotiating all manner of obstacles. Pouring rivers, cutting across the path. Great waterfalls, soaking you through with spray as you sidestepped the torrents. Landslides, falling rocks from above, gusting winds whipping around the face of the mountain like a strike from the gods. It was truly treacherous. Reaching the point at which you'd seen the giant, the wind spun up again on such an exposed channel between 2 points of elevation. A hand held up to your face to protect your eyes from the punishing rain. You could hardly stand up. You felt in danger. Eventual hypothermia would be your undoing if the ferocious elements didn't beforehand. Shelter was essential. Down below, a lone haunch of rock was the most obvious relief. And so you slid and tumbled your way down the scree, falling beneath its cover. All fell relatively quiet. The wind no longer ripping at your ears. Breathing a sigh of exhausted relief, you closed your eyes, letting the soothing peace and quiet heal you a little. Rainwater still running down your face from your saturated hair. Why is it you follow me? An earthquake tore through the ground beneath you. The thundering voice seeming to boom from every direction. Such a fright is it you receive. You leapt up and spun around in all directions. Where did it come from? Who's there? You cried. Show yourself. There was no response at first. Nothing moved, and nothing spoke. Show yourself, you demanded a second time. I mean no harm at all. Your words felt weak in this land by comparison. A moment or two passed before the very haunch of rock you'd taken shelter beneath shifted slightly and unfurled, revealing the towering mass of the giant. It stood up straight, blossoming like a grey flower, doubling in size in mere moments. You stood back, stunned, unable to speak. Every limb, its arms, legs, neck, and head, all were plain, dense rock, devoid of any defining marks. Even its face and head appeared largely featureless. Why is it you follow me, human? The giant repeated itself. Attempting to find some words. You cried out above the howling wind. I witnessed you fight the other giant. I saw the whole thing. Nothing in the giant moved. It just stood there, motionless. After you defeated it, when you won, you looked sad. I felt something draw me to speak with you, and so I followed you. I must implore, I mean you no harm, just to speak with you. The giant took a moment. Seemingly to carefully process your words. With a grunching friction of rock on rock, it then crouched and leaned itself against the hillside, resting its arms on its knees. The giant looked dejected.
What is your name, human?
You spoke it, obligingly.
Well, amidst an evident curiosity, you seem to have genuine interest and concern. Not many of your kind do. Not in recent centuries.
You absorbed these words with a great sense of sorrow. The giant must have been observing your kind for thousands of years. What is your name, great giant? And who was the other giant you fought? You asked rather probingly. The giant cast you a sideways glance, as if surprised you were even asking such things. But with a great, bereft sigh, the giant spoke.
My name is Magnetite. Though once upon a time, I used to be a human, just like you. I went by the name of Sir James Law. That was a long time ago now. So long, I can scarcely remember.
Encapsulated by his words, you listened intently, hanging on every rumble of his thunderous voice.
The Igneous you saw me in battle with is named Scar. He was a man once, just like me. Scar owes me a great debt. As he has caused countless beings an eternity of pain and suffering. He is an evil creature. He will return. We have been at war for thousands of years. But in the years and months of late, he has returned to the surface more frequently. It is not a good sign.
Just like you thought, as the giants had been seen on numerous occasions by your people. But magnetite, why? Why has Scarn been returning? You cried over the howl of the gales. Another glance, and another great booming sigh resonated through the ground beneath your feet. You swallowed nervously.
Little human, there is something I must tell you. As I have not yet met any of your kind that would listen. A message I carry from the gods of the earth's core.
What is it, magnetite? What is it? You must tell me. The great giant leaned in towards you intently, so as not to be battling with the wind.
There are dark times ahead. The worlds are beginning to collide. Humans are growing more curious, more angry, more divisive, and more volatile. My kind and all the other beings of this world see this. And I am fearful, young human.
Fearful of what? You pushed, eyes wide, breath held.
I fear a great war is coming.